Hey, and goodness to you. It's Sporty King. And I always say goodness because I don't know whether you're watching morning, afternoon, or evening. But isn't it great to have good in front of your salutation? Hey, look, I'm on early. So don't worry if you say, oh my God, I missed it. No. I come on early. Welcome to Glue Wednesday. Glue Wednesday, I created because so long ago, well, not so long ago, but back in 2017 is when I started Glue Wednesday because it's in response to how many people say Wednesday is hump day. And so I say, hey, new old school rules. And we used to say you work Monday to Friday or the weekends. And, there was the term flex time did not exist, even though there's always been flex time because there's always been people working public transportation, hotels, restaurants, etc. But anyway, so it just came out that you know what? My goodness, I need to look that up. I got to check with Dr. Google. But the term hump day means the day we get over the hump on the way to between Monday and Friday. But I like to, massage words. So I say, you know what? Not everybody works Monday to Friday. There is the flex time. But Wednesday is the actual middle of a traditional 7-day week that keeps the week beginning and the week end together. So I call it the glue. And that puts me in my favorite pose, and that is a prayerful pose. And therefore, I decided glue is GLUE. God's love undoes everything. Because, see, we don't need to hump. We need to keep it together. And not that God's love will tear things apart, but whatever has been torn apart, it will glue it back together. So that's where Glue Wednesday comes from. So if this is your first time, welcome. And now you know the etymology. We've got less than 4 minutes to go for today's message. I always come on Wednesdays. I do 3 broadcasts a week. I do Glue Wednesday on Wednesday. On Monday, I do the Monday Morning Moment, which is a 1 to 2 minute tape, inspirational message, not interactive. Friday, I do Gift Friday, which is God is for today. It's an 8 to 12 minute. It's not taped. It's a live message, but it's not interactive. It's me sharing one of my original poems and telling you how you could use it to uplift someone else's life as well as yours in regular conversation or in advice giving and sharing. So those are the 3. This is my interactive day. Excuse me. I consider it 30 to 45 minutes of interactivity where I'm talking about a message. And so if you want to, drop stuff in the chat, this is the best time to do it to get a response. Now, even if you drop stuff in the chat on my other 2 days after they have broadcast, I will end up responding. But this is the one where I'll stop. I got my notes so I can stop and go back to where I was. We've got less than 3 minutes for today's message. So, again, this is where I get to do my shout outs. That's why I try to come on 5 minutes earlier. So I know somebody's watching. If you drop your name in the chat, say hello, and I'll be happy to share that. P.S. By the way, because I'm on more than one social media, I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and then I paste this and post it on my website. But I see the comments regardless of where you're posting from. So that's why I like to click on them and give you that shout out so that someone else, like if someone says hi from Facebook, I can click on it and then the people on LinkedIn will see it as well as YouTube and vice versa. So that will keep some of the energy going as well. So again, please feel free to drop in there, say hello. And even if you're watching the video, we've got less than 2 minutes for today's message. But even if you're watching the tape, still put it in where you viewing from, because people like to see that synchronicity. See, and engagement doesn't always have to be in the moment. Excuse me. It doesn't have to be in the moment. It has to be in the air. It has to be available. And so sometimes when people see, oh, you know what, that person dropped them from where I was. Oh, I know so-and-so. That's something that, because think about it, we've been doing engagement all our lives. Pretty much. Depends, well, if you have a TV or ever been to the movies. Don't you talk to the screen? So don't tell me you didn't. Don't put that in the thread that you don't talk to the screen. That's engagement because it's mental. It makes you think. So if someone puts a comment in the thread, it will make you say something to the screen, or even as you're reading a message, it makes you think of something that relates to you. That's engagement. We've got less than a minute for today's message. So that's why I always encourage people, regardless of when you're watching, add stuff to the thread. Add stuff to the thread, because that's what it's really all about. Excuse me. It's making it work for everybody. So it is now 1:00. Let's roll. Let's roll. And I will stop in between and answer any questions that I see. But today I will be rekindling what I call the gas alphabet series, and the gas is GAS, the glue alphabet series, where each message features the next letter in the alphabet with words suggested by last week's viewers. Now, this week's message will feature the letter B, and my co-authors who gave me words that begin with the letter B are Rogercarole Rogers, who gave me Brandish, Daphne Francis, who gave me Brilliance, Rogercarole Rogers, who gave me Brandish, and Toni Onyango, who gave me Bonus. Now, if you're wondering what that's all about, what we did last year during the pandemic, when I created the gas series, is each week people would give me words in the thread with a specific letter of the alphabet. And then my challenge and my joy is for the following week to create a message that included their word. So that way they become my co-authors. And I'm saying they, but that means you. So you can be one of my co-authors by putting a word in the thread for next week's broadcast. Now, next week, the letter is going to be C. It doesn't matter whether you put it in now or later, but I'd rather you try to wait toward the end, or even if you have to leave early, and put a word in as you're leaving. But that way I can make you one of my co-authors. So last week, and not last week because I didn't broadcast last week, as some of you may have known, I had the absolute pleasure of going to what's called a departure ceremony. And that is a group, my Army, South Carolina Army National Guard audience and family. They were going away to their deployment. So they have a ceremony. Whenever they deploy, they have a ceremony where they do what is called casing the flag. And so, and what it's a ceremonial thing where they hold the flag out and, draped, and then an officer on each side takes it by a different hand, and they roll the flag up, then put the case on it, a traveling case. Then when they get to where they're deploying to, they have a ceremony, take the case off, and show their colors. So that's what I got my first chance to do. I've been on the contract for 11 years working with the military now, and I'm going to end up talking about them later in the broadcast anyway, but I just thought of that. That's where I was last week. So week before last, the letter focus was on the letter A. So that's why this week the focus is on the letter B. And so those are the three co-authors that the words they gave me with the letter B. And again, so next week our focus is going to be on the letter C. P.S. By the way, let's move on. So those are my co-authors. I decided this week to be influenced by the words from my co-authors. And so, and I will correspond each of their words with an Ac-Firmation from my book, Ac-Firmations. Now, Ac-Firmations, if you're not familiar, they're acronyms, but I don't just take a word and make an acronym and put a word to each letter. I let the acronym define what the word means. And you'll see that as we go along, again, if this is your first time. So I've matched one of my Ac-Firmations with each one of their words that they gave me. So you'll see a different one for Brilliance, Bonus, and Brandish. Okay. But meanwhile, I did that to get us the message. And for today's message, which I've changed the title. If you saw the announcement said that today's message is going to be courage. I've changed the title to I believe in being courageous. I believe in being courageous. And I've started a new practice with my gas series, by the way, where I will be where am I? Okay. Where I will post the co-author word the first time I use it in the message. And so you'll see it as a little subtitle, like so, okay, where I'll put, so that's where you'll see Brilliance, you see Brandish, where you see Bold. I'll put that in the subtitle, as that's when I'm using the co-author's word as just a way of keeping things going, all right? Now, my guiding scripture today is actually Psalm 27, 1 through 5. Psalm 27, 1 through 5. And I will use a different verse with each word. So first, Psalm 1:27-1. The Lord is my light and my salvation. So why should I be afraid? I paired the word brilliance with the word bold because this word made me think about colors shining brightly. As that concept took me back to my past Gift Friday post where I talked about how important it is to have colors in your life. In fact, if you missed that broadcast, that the line in the poem is, the poem was called My Rainbow is Real. So the line was, my rainbow is real. It sings in bold. Oh, I didn't even think that I was going to quote it. But here are the colors that my rainbow is real. It's in bold colors. It's grateful green, radiant red, prosperous purple. It's true. Glorious gold, berry black, and of course, bountiful blue. So go back and check that message out. It was either last week or week before last, and just talks about how important it is to have the colors in your life because they make a difference. So check that broadcast and then learn the biblical significance of each of those colors, which is something that I shared in that broadcast. As well as I suggest that you consult Dr. Google to find out about how your favorite colors keep you shining bright. Meanwhile, brilliance is also a synonym for intelligence. And I believe that the smarter you are, the more courage you'll exude. Continue the shine and the smartness to unveil. Combine the shine and the smartness to unveil the source of your courage as being bold. B-O-L-D. Believing our Lord exists. You see, our faith holds the key to our strongest expression of courage. One of the beliefs that I've developed and share with my military family is that there's a high calling on their lives. America asks them to turn their emotions off and on at the drop of an order, and they do it. But how rarely do they take the time to pat themselves on the back and accept the credit? Instead, they say, well, I just did what I had to do. I always throw the buzzer on the bulletin. Not everybody can do it. Not everybody can do what you do. And so I remind them that. And in fact, they didn't know. The truth is, they didn't know that they could do it until they had to do it. They had to miss holidays, graduations, deaths, births, first steps, and a host of firsts. And the list grows as the experience continues. So I ask you to do two things. One, I want you to continue to pray in faith, not fear, that for our military families and service members, that their courage, that they continue to have the courage to live through their calling. And two, I want you to take a look at your life, see the calling, and then give yourself a pat on the back. In fact, drop in the thread right now. I want you to drop one of your callings in the thread. We may have several callings in our lives, by the way, but I want you to drop one of your callings in the thread. And again, this is even if you're watching the video. And I'll tell you, one of mine is also a part of my daily meditation. It's from 1 Peter 4:11, which says, are you called to be a speaker? Then speak as though God himself were speaking through you. Are you called to help others? Do it with the strength and energy that God supplies. Then God will be giving glory in everything through Jesus Christ. What's one of your callings? Let me see if anybody's dropped anything in the chat. Nope, no one has. So I will move on. But again, even if you're watching the video, and even if you come in later, maybe you're just typing, you don't type as fast as I do. Drop something in the chat. What is one of your callings? And again, when I talk about even doing it when you're watching the video, there may be a calling in the chat similar to yours. How much does it light up our lives when we see that we have something in common? See, sometimes we focus so much on the negative that we don't focus enough on the positive, what we have in common. We focus on what we don't have in common, the differences, instead of focusing on what we do have in common. And here's my first shout out. Good to see you, fam, from Vic, my homeboy. Good to see. And so this is what I'm saying. If he's on Facebook, so that now showed up in both LinkedIn and YouTube. But this is what I like to do. Just have a good time. Just have a nice conversation, all right? So Vic, what I just said is drop one of your callings in the thread. If you can, because you have more than one. But what's one of the high callings on your life? I talked about how the military families have the calling on their life where America asks them to turn their emotions on and off at the drop of an order. And they do it. That's a high calling. And they don't stop and give themselves credit. But you have to, they just have, and sometimes the relationships don't last because of it, by the way. And I talk about that in my sessions as well. It's not always about this fairy book ending that's going to happen we see on TV. Sometimes marriages and relationships do not work because of the deployment. So that's another thing we want you to be conscious of as you pray for our service and family members, is that their relationships are challenged. But I this past weekend, last weekend, I was speaking in South Carolina, and I talked to them about how something that a lot of people don't realize, that Janet Jackson and I almost got married. Right? But the problem is that we never met. All right. But I got to tell you, Janet has a special on. This is why I don't have to feel like bad about quoting it. And it talks about relationships that she had, and where the guy, he said that the reason the relationship ended, he was her boyfriend, and it ended because once he started dating Janet, other women started hitting on him. And he, being a man, he responded. And I said to my soldiers, is that your definition of manhood? Because women hit on you, then you have to reciprocate and hit back? I said, no, believe me, if I'm dating Janet, I don't really see other women. Period. I love my Janet so much. But what's your definition? What's your definition? And that's part of the calling. Here's what Tina said on LinkedIn. She said, support our young people through many vessels, which brings me joy as I see them grow and develop. That is a high calling. And that is how I met Tina. She's in Kansas City. When we both worked together with the LOT, Leaders of Tomorrow program through the National Black MBA Association, where they had teen cohorts that attended the conferences, and these teens got a chance to see, go into different sessions that we had prepared for them about leadership and growth. And so that's really important. And I tell you, one of my ministry brothers, Shanga Wilson, and two of them, and Daniel Lightning Jackson, they always say, you can't make this stuff up. And so the reason I say that is because you can't, because I'm going to be talking exactly about what you're saying, Tina, a little later in the broadcast, about how important it is to support our young people through many vessels, which brings you joy. And then I see them grow and develop. All right. And then Victor says one of his is to try and help the animals and the planet to survive. See, and everybody has a different cause. And this is what I'm saying too about sometimes we look for the differences instead of focusing on the similarities. Don't we have people say, goodness, why do you care about animals? Who cares about the planet? That's stupid. No, it's not stupid. It's their cause. It's their belief. It's their calling. Man, if we could get to where we would just accept, and this is going to come up later as well now that I'm thinking about it, if we could just accept the differences and then look for the commonalities with calm. So let's accept the differences with calm, because you know what? Once I know that a certain person and I are totally opposites, polar opposites, I can just stop. I have the decision on how I can treat that relationship. If I'm not in a work environment where I have to work with this person, I can just stop contact with them. It depends on what your experience is. And that's what I was saying about your calling. It depends on your experience of how you handle it. And again, we're going to see that as we go through the broadcast as well. God is so good. All right. So that's what, one of the meditations I read every morning is, are you called to be a speaker? Then speak as though God himself were speaking through you. Are you called to help others, which Tina just said? Then do it with all the strength and energy that God supplies, and which Victor just talked about in terms of helping the animals. There's the others in the planet. Then God will be given glory in everything through Jesus Christ. Yes. Yes, so that's my reading every morning. But then I continued today's dose of courage with Psalm 27, 2-3. When evil people come to destroy me, when my enemies and foes attack me, they will stumble and fall. Though a mighty army surrounds me, my heart will know no fear. Even if they attack me, I remain confident. And the word I looked at for that is brandish. Brandish. And I coupled brandish with bullying, because barely understanding love, let alone themselves. But let me first deal with brandish. Okay. Brandish is a transitive verb. It means to shake or wave, something such as a weapon. Menacingly brandishing a knife at someone, or to exhibit in an ostentatious or aggressive manner, brandishing her intellect. Here are two sentences. When the crazed man decided to brandish a gun in the airport, he was immediately shot by a security guard. And another one that I actually want to show you, the dictator would often go on television and brandish the heads of his enemies so his people would know the consequences of opposing him. When we use sample sentences like this one about the dictator, we are reminded that the bullies are not restricted to kids in school and the playground. Nope. And see, my co-founded charity of choice is Hey Ugly, which HUGLY stands for Unique, Gifted, Lovable You. Hey Ugly, all right? This site is a safe place for teens and their friends to find inspiration and help on important issues such as mental health, bullying, racism, LGBTQ+, suicide prevention, how to safely come to the aid of someone being bullied, and so much more. And just as it targets teens, it provides adults with a resource to help our future leaders. See what I'm saying, Tina? I had you coming up there. Okay, to help our future leaders with these issues. So please check it out and support it. HeyUgly.com. And the weapon that we use at Hey Ugly is love. That's what we wave. We wave love, because that's why I say bullying, barely understanding yourself, let alone someone else. Courage is about understanding yourself at a level where you appreciate your value as a positive influence in making our world a better place. Sure, you can appreciate your negative influence. You can do that as well. But realize that doesn't take courage. Realize that your negative influence, when you appreciate that hides behind cowardice. Thus, I move you on to Psalm 27:5. For he will conceal me. He will conceal me there when trouble comes. He will hide me in his sanctuary. he will place me out of reach on a high rock. And let me stop for a second and look at the comment there. Oh, here we got Daphne is in there. One of my, the notification didn't show up today. Okay. Technology. And it's interesting, right? Because we rely so heavily on technology sometimes, and we forget that it still needs the personal touch. A good friend of mine, when I first started my speaking business back in 1995, his name is Bill Metcalf. I believe that was his name. And he was the tech guru back then. And he used to always say, make sure that your speaking topic personalized technology. And that was a long time ago he said that, and that belief still stands true today. So God bless you, Bill. I haven't seen him in years, so hope he's well. But yes, we rely on technology sometimes, and that's why also I always come on early to do my shout outs just in case, because then at least it may flash that Sporty's on. Hey, anyway, Daphne, that you're one of my co-authors, and you see Rogercarole's word Brandish scrolling across the bottom, but we had your word scrolling across the bottom at the beginning with your brilliance that you supplied us with. So thank you for being one of my co-authors, and greetings to you as well, family. Those of you, this is your first time. Everybody comes on here, we're family. I'm not that worried. One time, in fact, it was Daphne said, oh man, the message needs to be shared to more people. And I'm fine if you share the message. I ask that you do, but I'm not that concerned with having a large audience. I'm happy with us talking together, because once the larger the audience gets, I'm not going to be able to break away and have these comments or knowing me. Yes, I am. Because you know what? Even when I do my presentations, I'm not so caught up on the slides that I take away the moment. If there's a topic that we can discuss in the moment based on one of the slides, that's what I do in my presentations. And, a lot of times people say, oh, well, I don't want to do, death by PowerPoint. No. As a speaker, your job is to deliver breath by PowerPoint. See, don't decide, I'm not going to use slides. I'm not going to use PowerPoint because people are tired of it. We have people who are visual learners in your audience. And so your decision that I'm just going to, take the slides out, you just now took away a part of your audience and you insulted them. Because we won't just say, I'm not going to use PowerPoints. I'm not going to use PowerPoints. And because if you're not going to say, look, I won't have any slides today, but don't make it because slides are bad and you're sick of slides. No, that just insulted people who are visual learners. Sometimes, as well as hearing you say stronger together, I need to be able to read that so that I can have the definition. In fact, let's go back and look at the sentence that we use. The dictator would often go on television and brandish the heads of his enemies so his people could know the consequences of opposing him. So you need to see that as well as just hear it. And it gives you, again, it's showing you how to use the word brandish in a sentence, but it's also emoting the feeling. So even, because you've got the visual learners, you've got the auditory people who hear, and you've got the kind of kinesthetic. I think that's the people who feel. Oh my God, you got to have, but you have to address, when you are speaking, you have to address every kind of learning. And I want to address, welcome to the family, Rogercarole. See, so all of my authors, two of my three authors are here. Rogercarole, we're on your word right now. Brandish, but welcome. And that's the joy and of us having our nice little small group and making things happen. So let's get back to the message, okay? For he will conceal me. What was the last thing I said? I talked about how your cowardice, your negative influence hides cowardice, whereas your positive influence shows courageousness. Thus, I go to my final scripture, and that is Psalm 27:5. For he will conceal me there, which I started, when trouble comes. He will hide me in his sanctuary. He will place me out of reach on a high rock. And the word that actually goes with that is bonus. Bonus. Because many of us have enjoyed or heard of the the word being acronymized, not Ac-Firmation. That's why I'm having trouble. But you've heard people say that Bible is B-I-B-L-E, basic instruction before leaving Earth. Okay, well, I've actually decided to take bonus because I love and agree with that concept and vision. So I've decided to add what I call bonus definitions of Bible. And that is, oops, there we go. Let's get rid of this one. And that is, here are two of my three bonus definitions or affirmations of Bible. One, balanced in believing life experiences, or balance in believing life's excellence. Rogercarole, by the way, if you do want to catch up and throw something in the thread, the things that we've thrown in are what are one of the callings on your life that you love and you aspire to maintain. One of the callings, because we can definitely have more than one as well as many. But again, Bible, be and balance in believing life experience and balance in believing life's excellence. We've all heard of the cliche of taking the bad with the good, right? But that's what it is. That's a cliche. What's real is our not expecting that there will be a 50-50 split of outcomes in our lives, but that there will be a percentage always favoring God's will. You see, balance is about shifting priorities, not always about equality. It's not about 50-50. It's about shifting priorities, not equality. And one of the sessions I facilitate with my military families is about finding balance. I use a diagram, as we see here, and this is the trademark. It's called the Wheel of Life Activity by Maya Resource Group Incorporated. It shows 8 areas of life satisfaction: health and fitness, work and career, family and home, finances, personal growth, social and cultural, spiritual and ethical, and fun and recreation. Before I get to those, I'm going to go see what we got in the comments. One, we got family being family. Rogercarole came in saying hi, so Vic said hi. And they've never met. Again, this is our family hot atmosphere. And then Rogercarole, one of her callings to inspire people to be their best selves and to be hospitable. Okay, and Vic is also saying hi to Daphne, but to inspire people to be their best selves and be hospitable. Here's the word that jumps out at me in that, which sometimes people don't think about: inspire. See, a lot of times people say motivate, but you inspire people. You don't motivate people, you inspire people. Motivation is internal. Someone has to motivate themselves. You can give them the information and then they have to take it and be motivated to decide to make that decision or to do that thing. So you inspire, even though the accepted title for what I do in my profession is called motivational speaker. I understand that I'm an inspirational speaker. See, because a lot of times we transpose motivational with energy. Oh, this person was a motivational speaker and they got me going, and you should do this and you should be courageous, blah, blah. But you know what? Then we decide the person who says, okay, and if you add line 14 and 15 on your taxes, when you get line 16, that will be your refund, and that you write that in line 18, and you can have. And see, now we decide that monotone and not non-exuberance of energy as, oh, that guy was boring. But you know what? If you added line 15 and 16 and then wrote it in line 18, that person motivated you to do it because you listened to what they said and you made the decision to do it. So thank you, Rogercarole, for using the word inspire, because that's what we do. Even if we go back to, wow, see, look at that, what Tina said, support our young people. She didn't say motivate our young people. You support them. You give people the tools, and then people will do what they want to do. which is again why you have to, see, this is what I'm saying about, I love our little small group, because this is what I'm saying about that scripture that I read. Which one? Let's see, where it is. Where is it? It's continue to pray in faith. When people oh, okay, well, it has my scriptures that I read in the morning about okay, let me slow down and get it right. Okay, that is the one. There it is. Psalm 1. The Lord is my light and my salvation. So why should I be afraid? See, that's personal. That you may go to church and the pastor or whoever may say wonderful things, but if you don't believe it, it doesn't matter. You have to make a decision. Even in our faith, and I don't knock anybody else's faith, but my show is pushed toward the Christian faith. And when you go to church, at the end of church, the pastor says the doors of the church are open. Will you come? He or she doesn't say, look, you better get your behind up here, you sinner, and be a member of the church. No, it's, will you come? Is this message for you? Are you motivated to make the move based on what you see inside that you have now realized and you want to take care of? So that's really, you give people the reason. And a church doesn't say, of any religion, they'll say, oh man, nobody joined us today. Oh, well, we need to close. They say, see you next week. Or see you next day with maybe we have a ministry meeting. Maybe we have Bible study. Maybe we have the, Quran study, whatever it is, see you next time. The day wasn't for you. That's okay. And haven't we all said, man, they were speaking to me. That message was for me. All of this that's the whole point, is that people supply you with what you can use, not always what you need. Yeah, it is what you need, but you've got to decide that it's a need and know that it's something that you want to use. And then you will be inspired to do your best and be and there's another thing that I like about that, Rogercarole, you be your best self. I'm trying to be the best sporty I can be. I always say I don't have to be right. I have to be sporty. I can't be Rogercarole, Tina, Daphne, Victor. I can't be you. Every time I try to be you, I will fail. But I have to make sure that I am me. And that's what you want to do. Make sure that you are you so that you can have and taste your success, so that we can have and take your success as well. So Vic, even after saying hi to Daphne, he also said he want to try to have more empathy. And that is true. And again, I'm word sensitive. Thank you, Vic. Try to have it. You can't, I'm going to have more empathy. But true, that's on the way to trying. But what are you going to do to get more empathy? It is a hard thing to do. One of the things that I suggest is, one, just what I just finished saying about not being someone else. I have not walked in your shoes. I don't know what you're going through. I actually never say that. And I know that when speakers say that, or adults, anybody giving someone advice, I know where their heart is coming from, but I actually will not say those words. I know what you're going through. I've sat in your seat. No, I don't. I have no idea what you're going through. I have not walked in your shoes, but and I've not sat in your seat, but I sat in the same row. See, that's to me what empathy is. I haven't walked in your shoes or sat in your seat, but I sat in the same row, because all of us have gone through something and have been through something and are going through something. So you don't have to have had the exact same experience, because you can't, because there are different players involved in your scenario versus someone else's. So you just have to be able to feel what that person may have felt and imagine. I love it when I hear someone say, I can imagine what you're going through. But no, I don't know what you're going through. So try to have more empathy. And in trying, that means that you have to try to understand. And again, that's where we were just now talking about when we were talking about balance and believing life experience and believing life's excellence. And that's why I'm talking about now. This is the life wheel of activity. So you can see, these are the 8 categories. And what I do in the session is everybody, you have to go from the middle of the graph and draw out from 0 to 10 where you are in each of those 8 categories. Okay, and so for example, I'm sorry, it is unlikely that anyone, including you, will be a 10 all the way around. It's highly unlikely. I'm not going to say, no, you can't. But our individual life experiences and our strive toward personal excellence creates a combination and trail of shifting priorities. For example, when I lived in Chicago in the year 2009, when I was still living in Chicago, if you can see the where is it? Social and cultural would have been, let's say, an 8 or a 9. But in 2010, just a year later, when I moved to Charlotte, when I did my wheel, and my social and cultural is a 5 or a 6. So I was facilitating one of my seminars, sessions with the Navy, and one of the participants said, "Wow, your social is only a 5. You seem like such a nice guy. Why is your social and cultural only a 5?" And what I said to them, and this is actually in 2011 when we had that conversation. And I said to them, I said, you know what? I relocated at 55. Relocating at 55 is not the same as relocating at 20 or 30 or even 40, because the networking scenes, the bars, those are really, those are built for people in their 20s and 30s. As a 55-year-old person and already having my beard and everything, I go to a bar, I'm looking like a sugar daddy. And they're trying to pick up some young thing, right? So therefore my social barometer was very low when I relocated, because I was already 55. And I understood that. Most of the people in those bars, because everybody in that bar, some of them are just, just looking to meet some new people because they're a new person in town. I did at 55, what am I going to do? Try to look for a woman that's looking older? Take up that, because I think this would be selfish of me to take up the time of a young woman who's looking in her 20s or 30s, and me, trying to talk to her, what am I doing? Giving her life advice when maybe she's looking for somebody her age to talk to. And, see, all of that comes into it. So those are life experiences that you have, and that changes your, where you see yourself on each part of the wheel. And the whole point of it is that when you finish putting your values on the wheels, do you have a round circle? Can you have a wheel that rolls, or do you have a wheel that looks like it's bumpy? Because maybe you got all 9s, okay? I don't know. No one's ever had a perfect wheel. And that's it. What a wheel is, by the way, it's perfect. So, as you think of those parts, that's what you want to do. But realize that it takes courage to understand and accept your balance. You have to be balanced in believing your life experience, and balanced in leaving your strive toward excellence. And Daphne said, good point. And again, there's a hesitation in this, but I'm sure she's talking about the relocation point. Because and it is a laugh, right? Because I cracked up laughing. But my friends in Chicago, because I had a lot of, oh man, you must, because so many people you do it. I'm like, no, I hardly ever go out. I don't know anybody. In fact, I shared with a couple of my groups experience I had a few months ago. One of my boys came in town, and so we went out for drinks. So we go to this Mexican restaurant, right? And so we're sitting at the bar instead of sitting in the booth. And because we're just going to have appetizers and margaritas. And so it's me, him, and then there's a seat in between, and these 2 young ladies sitting on the other side. So me and him were laughing and talking. And after a while, one of the one who's closest to the empty seat says to me, well, what kind of margarita was that you had? And I said, well, it was I think I said, it was a regular. And she said, well, it looks like a flavored one based on the color of the glass. I said, no, it was a regular. I said, but, I'll double check, because the actual the bartender, barmaid, she actually didn't speak English. And so I said, well, let me double check now that she's saying this. But you know what? After she said that, she said, well, you know what? You should be buying us shots by now. Oh, wait. Daphne, right? Wait, let me put that caption in here, Daphne. Sugar mom at the bar, right? You would be a sugar mom. I was a sugar daddy. So check out, this young girl said to me, you should be buying us shots right now. And I looked at her and I laughed. I laughed right now. I said, oh, I should be buying you shots because I got the answer wrong about what kind of margarita is this. And me and my boy, we're laughing now because we just came back from Cancun and everybody was buying us shots. And I said, yeah, well, you know what, young lady? I said, you need to understand the difference between people buying you shots to try to get a shot at getting in your pants and buying you a shot to have a conversation. And that ain't happening right here. And we moved on. And then she turned away and just started contact. I said, okay, cool. And we just kept laughing. And then I thought about and I asked, I said, excuse me, young lady. I said, let me ask you a question. I said, you know what? Player to player. Right? Sugar daddy to sugar. I said, player to player. Does that work? Is that how guys are, the lines they're using and dating? And I was dead serious with that. And she wasn't offended. She saw that I was she took out her phone and started showing all the pictures from them in Cancun. And we had a nice conversation from there. And I still ain't buying no shots. Right. And so, I'm just like glad, and we had that laugh. And when I said, yo, take care, God bless you, be good. But no, I was not going to be a sugar daddy buying her shots. I knew it, but she didn't say it necessarily worked, by the way. So I ask you young people, does that work? If someone says, what are you drinking? Does that mean that you should buy them a shot? Okay, what you say, Rogercarole? We'll find some social outlets in Charlotte that are safe for mature folks. And by the way, yeah, Rogercarole, because Rogercarole is now moving here from Chicago to Charlotte. She's moved here. She's closing up stuff in Chicago. So y'all family, you know that. What I go back to that 55 experience, and what I learned is no, you don't hang out in bars to network. You're in your 50s. You like jazz and wine tasting. I said, okay. So I started going to jazz concerts and wine tastings, and they very creative. They have the wine tasting out at a vineyard, and they have the jazz concert performing on the lawn, that type of thing. However, the thing is, you don't really network because you are sitting with whoever you came with. You're not talking during the concert, but you got the people. You got the people who maybe you were on the bus with to go out to the thing, and you meet them. It's fun. It's fun. And Rogercarole, when you come out, we're gonna have a good time. But it's okay. I got to tell you what I say and we're talking about balance too. By the way, we haven't lost our topic. What I say to people is, I'm on this side of 100. I'm 66. I'll be 67. I'm on this side of 100. I do not have another 66 years to live. I don't care how you decide to look at it. That's how I look. I don't have another 66. And you know what? I don't want another 66 unless I could be at this stage 66 years from now, then that's fine. But I know I won't. My body will deteriorate. My mind will deteriorate. And maybe not. Maybe in another 40, 30 it won't, or 20 it won't. But in 66 more years, I will not be where I am now. I don't want another 66. I'm not interested in being 132. I am enjoying where I am and living in this moment and letting that make a difference for me. And so, that is part of what you have to do when you shift your priorities in balance. Is know that as you shift your priorities in your life, your work and your career will be at a different level. How you feel about your family is going to change. Your finances, people's finances change during the pandemic. Your personal growth, where we talk about inspiring birth. See, all of those categories are going to make a difference. I'm going to take a minute here and just go through some family stuff here where Vic congratulates Rogercarole for moving. Rogercarole says, thank you. Now it's like a narrator. And Vic says, you're welcome. And then Daphne said she wants to visit North Carolina. Come on down. I'm in a house now. I got a formal guest room. So I'm legitimate. Yeah, come on down, Daphne. You know it, not a problem. Vic, May 22nd is his birth date. So that's coming up in what, week after next? Or is that next week? What week are we in? Week after next, the 22nd. So come on down. And then there you go, Rogercarole. Come on, Daphne, because now she's going to be here. And we'll see what events are coming up. Yeah, and right. I didn't say, by the way, I said my social was on a 5 or 6. I didn't say a 0. I know stuff, but it's what I choose to do. Shifting priorities. That's the whole point of that. And that's why balance is never going to be 50-50 or 100-100. Shift your priorities. Victor, I got distracted from replying. Good to see you, Vic. All right, let me get back to rolling here. Unfortunately, we're pretty much at the end. Okay, but where was I? Okay. Okay, so my whole point about the balance. Let me get this back to where I was, because we were on bonus, right? And we're on the fact that it's shifting priorities. Okay. All right. And a balance, so shifting priorities. Okay. And so my whole point about the balance and the shifting is that it takes courage to understand and accept your beliefs. It takes courage to understand and accept your beliefs about life's experiences and what excellence looks like for you. Okay, so here's the third bonus. And I may have said this before. But believe me, our faith holds the key to our strongest expression of courage. And therefore, the last expression of courage is this one, and that is believing in being loved eternally. Believing in being loved eternally. I close actually with this belief. And I thank my co-authors. Believing. Okay. I close actually with this belief, that I believe in being loved eternally. You have to. And I thank my co-authors, Rogercarole, Daphne, and Toni, because I believe that they have that same belief. So I think it's important that you have that belief and recognize that I look forward to sharing your beliefs with your giving us the next letter. And that is words for next week's message that begin with the letter C. You can just put them in the thread, and I'll work on getting those into the message. So thank you. Have a good day. And more importantly, and most importantly, thanks for watching, engaging, and also believing. Where is it? There we go. That God's love undoes everything. Not just on Glue Wednesday, but on every single day that there is. So let me just see some comments that I went past. Okay, sounds like a plan. So Daphne's going to come visit us. Yes and amen, Rogercarole. Vic says, take care. All until next time, be safe. And then there's my first C word. What is that? Cantilever. Okay, now I put my glasses back on. Cantilever. Rogercarole always believes in making sure she upgrades my vocabulary. Vic has given us can. You got to have a can attitude. And then Daphne gives us compassion. Not the same as empathy. And so compassion, but close to empathy. Okay, so maybe that's something I'll put a little focus on just to remind people of how they are similar, yet what's the fine line in the difference between the two. Thank you. And even if you're watching the video, you can still put your word beginning with the letter C, and we'll see if we can get that into next week's message. God bless you. Have a wonderful weekend, a wonderful week, and then a weekend as well. And I'll see you next week on Glue Wednesday. This is Sporty King. Ciao. Be courageous. Oh, let me put that back up there. Let me let the tape end with showing that I believe in being courageous. Yes.